Dan, RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a good day. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Have to have some fun once in a while, right? Come on now. What kind of world would it be? We're doing the next episode. I think this is number 3 on the episodes of Agnes and myself. We got 6 total. This one has to do really specifically with manifesting money. So kind of a good thing, right? If you're one of those people that is maybe looking for some additional cash. And it really seems like a lot of the things that most people that are kind of on the entry level, if you will, of manifestation tend to shoot for money or relationships. So we've covered relationships on the first 2 releases. So if you haven't seen those, check those out, please. And we've got money covered now. And like I said, got 3 more really, really good ones coming up. But we get into some great techniques on how you can manifest money. And actually, you can use the same techniques for really any kind of manifestation whatsoever. But it should work for you. So hopefully you enjoy. This is Agnes and I doing a little bit of a talk on money, not too terribly long. And we'll do an outro coming up next. Oh, by the way, that was Abba doing money, 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 obviously. There you go. We'll talk to you guys shortly.
Tell me about your reading of the moods thing.
Well, I loved, so Law of Attraction sort of talked about trying to have the feelings of this, of what you're trying, how your feelings actually kind of matter in the scope of manifesting, but it was never done like Goddard did. Really, like Goddard was kind of that missing piece for me. And that's why I did that one show where I thought the bridging of the two was kind of like, for me, it was a big aha moment, a big epiphany. The light bulb turned on. I was like, oh, this is it. You have to imagine it. And then from there, the rest of it's just trying to keep yourself in line. So when I got to the mood part, that made all of the Hicks stuff make sense. So it's weird to me though that she doesn't talk about really a lot of the imaginative aspects of it.
No,
I don't get that. It's like you're missing a really key piece. You've got the rest of it so nailed down.
Yeah.
And Goddard really does deal well with the imaginative aspects, but I don't feel like he gets into it. And maybe it's just because I'm still new to him. But I don't hear a lot of stuff, how you kind of got to get through your day-to-day, how you deal with the doubts, how you deal with like the blockages we've talked about. When you've got something stuck in your head that there's no way I can be rich because people with money are jerks or people with power are not to be trusted. And it's like, well, that's not the case. And you can't become wealthy if you're constantly thinking that wealthy people are bad. So it's kind of one of those things where we really have to learn to notice where our blockages are, or to notice where those negative thoughts that creep in, and kind of really take advantage and sort of embrace and love those things. And like you were saying, doing self-love meditations or trying to heal yourself through these processes. Because a lot of us have programming that we don't realize we have. I mean, maybe your dad always had an issue with the neighbor across the street that had a really nice car. He's like, he's just rich. And then you grew up hating rich people.
Yeah.
Well, when you're trying to manifest money, that's a big problem.
Yeah. No, Neville doesn't address that.
No, and it's kind of weird.
Whereas Abraham Hicks does address that stuff, so they kind of go around the circle again. Yeah. And she is easier to understand because she's still alive. She speaks our language in 2017. So you've kind of got, you're fitting together your own pieces of the puzzle, and you're taking bits from everywhere. I think, her biggest message, I think, is if you just feel good and you go for the feelings of if you had the thing you wanted, if you go for those feelings, then the thing just comes. Whereas he says, God is your human imagination, and you are the creator, and you go forth by really, and he talks about it in the book Prayer, The Art of Believing, about thought transmission. That's his big thing. And you just keep doing it night after night after night, and you don't really think about the beliefs that are in the way or the blocks or the family beliefs. You just go for it.
Exactly.
There's different potholes in both. And you've got to go, okay, well, what is it about me that I can't manifest this thing? Because sometimes people ask that. I've been trying to manifest this for like a year and nothing's happening. It's like, okay, what's going on with your belief system?
And that's the hard part, I think, is really getting people to notice when they're having these thoughts that contradict what they're trying to manifest. And I think that is really the potholes in the whole concept of manifestation. the self-doubt or the lack of belief. And that's where I think where Goddard's is key. But I just think the bridging of the two is beautiful, because I believe his power, Goddard, I keep pointing over here, the books to my side, right? You can't see that, but Goddard's imaginative is, I think, the most powerful way to manifest, hands down.
Yeah.
But the Abraham Hicks approach is kind of you spend maybe 30 minutes a day imagining, and then you've got, another 16 hours that you got to get through. And I think that's where Hicks really starts to come into play, is helping us stay focused downstream, or just try to, keep it going, stop the doubt, all that stuff.
Yeah. I had lunch with someone today, and, his question to me was, he's been doing Neville a long time. And he said to me, how do I live in the end during the day? There's that question again. He goes, how do you do it? And I said to him.
So what was your answer?
Well, my answer was, because Neville talks about the old man, which is basically in the example you gave, I am poor, or I hate rich people. There's the old man, all the old things. The new man would be, I am wealthy, I attract money, everything and everyone prospers me now, those kind of thoughts.
Right.
So during the day, so you got 24 hours, you take out a half an hour to an hour, you've done maybe 2.5 hours in your day doing your meditations. And then you've got, you take out sleep, and then you've got this block of, 15, 16 hours left. So you to live in the end result, you have to, as Neville says, carry around the feeling. So how do you do that? Because you can't just go, I feel wealthy. Your head will go, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Instantly.
And it's really hard. It's also, in the case of wealth, it is, if you're someone that's dirt poor, and like you were talking about in one of your videos, that you were worried about how I was going to make next bills, how like you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're still not making it. It is really hard to feel wealthy.
Yeah.
When you're coming from that place. So I totally get it with people. An issue of slowly building and getting a little money put aside, and then you start to feel more wealthy. But I completely agree with what you're saying.
I mean, the wealth thing, I personally found, I just couldn't hop into feeling really wealthy. Because I came from people that no one had bought a house in my family. Everybody was renting. There was just no kind of wealth in my family. And I was thinking, how the hell can I feel wealthy when I don't even have any clue what it feels like to be wealthy? My grandfather hugged me a lot, so I knew what I felt like to be loved. I was unloved, but I don't know how it feels to feel wealthy. So I went through this whole 6 months of studying myself as to how can I work out the mechanics of how to get around. I've never felt wealthy, but I want to feel wealthy. How do I do that? And what I worked out was, wealthy people feel free because they can do what they want when they want.
Right.
So I thought, okay, if I try and get in the back door and feel free, how would I do that? And I thought, well, on weekends, because I was working 5 days a week then, I thought, well, on weekends I'm free. On weekends I can do what I want. And I'd go for walks on the beach, in Australia, big open spaces, wind blowing, sun. I would feel free there. I'd feel free if I went walking in the bush. I'd feel free if I was driving my car on the freeway. So what I would do is, in those moments, I would use that to really say, I am free, I am free, I am free. And then I would say, I am wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy. Even though I didn't quite connect with that so much, the freedom component was much, much easier to get in the back door for me. As I did that, then I started saying I work half the hours for twice the pay, because that my head didn't argue with. I could understand the concept of saying, okay, if I'm earning $500 a week, then I know that actually means I'm earning $1,000 a week. My head can see that. I can understand it. I can see the mechanics. Yeah. So I had to break it down into.
And that's kind of the approach I came at it from. Maybe a little less of the free thing, which I probably would have been great had I worked on it. But for me, it's like just a small back trail for me. When I got done with radio and kind of gave up on wanted to actually start making money because radio paid horribly. Moved back and started completely over. Literally, if I couldn't mail back stuff from where I was at, it stayed in Tennessee, which was where I was doing the radio stuff. So initially, when we got a little help buying a condo, my brother helped me, parents gave us money, and we paid them back. And then my brother wanted out at the top of the market, so I bought him out. And at that point, I was working 40 hours a week at a mortgage company and 35 hours a week for Starbucks. And literally it was just like, how can I work less? How can I make more money in my primary? And it was just an issue of trying to inch up. And then it got to a point where I didn't need the second job and I'm doing fine. You know what I mean? And now it's like, okay, now I've got some money in the bank and I kind of know what that feeling feels like to have some money.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was kind of the direction I went with it. And so I'm starting to understand what that feels like. And then it's easier to, add another $1,000 or $2,000 to what I make a month without any sort of big jump. And then voiceover work started happening. And now this YouTube stuff is really starting to kind of pick up a little bit for me. So it's like, as you start to expand what you believe you can do, your life starts to expand. It just naturally starts to, and all the blanks start to fill in with the right activities.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of like you go up in.
Yeah, it's totally steps. And that's, I think so many people try to go from here to way up here. And it's like, there's so much belief jumping that has to occur to do that. Mm-hmm. That I think for most people, that's really, really hard to do.
It is. Because you don't get your footing. You don't get your internal footing of feeling secure on that particular issue.
Right. Or when you do get lucky and something awesome happens, or maybe you're in commissions and you get a giant commission month, right? And then you start doubting yourself like, well, that was a fluke. Again, if you've got your footing, then you know that giant commission check that you did, you can do it again and again and again. And so I think it's a way to totally build on ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
I do agree with you. The bigger jumps, they do happen, but not as often as this thing. I think that kind of thing seems to be more believable to people's belief systems.
Well, it's like when you've got stairs in your house, they're not giant steps. I mean, you go up, 9 inches at a time or however many centimeters that works out to. But yeah, you're going to go up a few bits at a time, and then eventually you get to the top.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay.
That's exactly. As long as you're moving forward, you can see that your beliefs are stretching and that you're getting better at it. Yeah, and I think too, I don't know about you, Dan, but you're obviously, having done radio, you're fairly creative. A lot of people that are creative have the belief creative people don't make money. That's not uncommon. The starving artist
especially on the spiritual path. Like when we're going up on that, like, I'm supposed to be giving all this stuff away, and I had to undo a lot of programming in regards to that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. Not uncommon.
Yeah, I think once I realized that, one, we create our own realities, but two, there's no reason why we can't have what we desire. And I really think that's built into this system that we live in, or Earth, or this, whatever we want to call this place. It's pretty fun and groovy, especially once you start to figure out how it works. It just gets better and better, frankly.
Yeah. And it gets easier, and the dramas subside, and you just have more peace, and you have more moments of surrender and allowing, rather than how can I make this happen? I'm an action figure.
It's nice.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know we had a fun time, and she's actually calling it organic nuts on her website, which I think is way better marketing, mind you, than I'm doing. But whatever the case is, that was, I think, some really, really awesome pointers on how to do that. So we're going to be doing another show probably coming up and a release tomorrow, the next one, and we'll go from there. We're going to be going out with Steve Miller Band, Take the Money and Run.
Billy Joe shot a man while robbing his castle. Probably soon